Hi, everyone. I wanted to put this together. I was sharing some numbers with Christine yesterday, and she thought it would be a good idea if I put something together and shared this with everybody. For those who know me, you know I'm a numbers person, and I tend to look at Christine's business from the numbers side and try to help her with her business in that way. So what I wanted to show is the value of recruiting, and really show you how important the recruiting is to your business going forward. So what I show it here is the number of new personally sponsored coaches that she has added month by month since she became a coach in August of 2012. So what you can see here, the first thing she did right after beginning was to add her husband or me as her first personally sponsored coach. The second thing you do is to add another coach. Unfortunately, she waited about 4 months before adding another coach, so she didn't actually make her Emerald for 4 months. That's a lesson learned. She learned the hard way. Hopefully, if you're a new coach starting, you don't have to wait 4 months. Don't learn that lesson the hard way. Get on that right away. The next period of time I'm looking at is the next 16 months for her. So we're looking a year and a half now into her business. But during that 16 months, she only had 10 coaches and only had 6 months that she actually added a coach. 1 month she did 4, which was great. But in 10 months, she did not add a coach at all. So again, inconsistent, low growth, not a good way to start out your business. But then she actually started getting much better. When you look at the next 10 months, the middle of 2014, she only had 2 months without adding a coach. Pretty much it was a coach a month. She had 1 month in there with 2, but pretty consistent growth, but it was low growth. Now, at the very end of 2014, she kicked it into high gear. She's had an awesome run since then. 15 consecutive months adding a coach, averaging almost 3 coaches per month. And every month but one, she's added more than one coach, a personally sponsored coach, to her business. So unfortunately, there are times that coaches do go inactive or cancel. So what this shows is all the positives on top, and then you see the negatives there, which are the inactives and cancels. Now, what you see here is that in the first 2 years, there are no inactives or cancels. There actually were a few times that someone went inactive in those first 2 years, but then they went back active again. And I'm looking at this as of this weekend. All the coaches she added since then, we've only had this many that are still inactive or canceled. So now what you see is the cumulative growth of her business based on all those ups and the downs. And really there is that, slow and steady wins the race. If you are consistent, if you are continually adding coaches month after month, you will see growth. So now let's get just the cumulative line here. And you can see that there are slow periods and there are growth periods, but overall you just got to keep on going. So let's look at a few. You can see back there where she had started growing her business, beginning of 13, and then there was about a whole year of really flat growth. Not much growth going on for that period of time. Some growth in 14. That's where she was doing that, at least kind of the 1 a month for the 10 months. And then 2015 really stepped up her business. And she did have for about a 6-month run here where there was had some people go inactive, had some cancels, and it was a very discouraging period. There were actually a couple of times where she actually had a negative impact to the business, lost more people than she was actually adding. So discouraging as it was, it lasted for almost 6 months. She was able, at the end of 15, to kick it back in and has had some really steep growth. Net here is only 7 or 8, but she's added 7 coaches in the last 2 months, actually less than the past 5 weeks. And the two months before that, she added 6, but she lost 5. So the majority of this growth, it was really a lot of growth in 4 months with some negatives in there as well. So what does this mean for income? So what I want to show you here is there's a clear relationship between the growth of her business in terms of personally sponsored coaches and her income. You can see when she started growing the business back here, the income goes up. You can see a long period of flat growth, not a lot of new coaches, and not a lot of growth in her income. I want to focus on a few specific points. One is here. You can see throughout 2015 a lot of growth, consistent growth for over a year. And you can see once that growth started in the business, her income stayed pretty flat for several months. But then it started stepping up, and it follows the same path. This growth in business and PS coaches leads to this growth in income. Now, the second period that I mentioned, that discouraging period where she did not really add much, did not increase the number of net coaches. Again, it started while her income was climbing, but it catches up. So that flatness led to what we're in right now, is this flatness of her income. Has not been growing for a couple of months. The good news is this growth that began a few months ago, there will be, we don't know what it is yet, but there will be that same growth. From the very beginning, there's a direct relationship: growth in business followed by growth in income, growth in business followed by growth. So I know that this growth in a business, this quick growth in number of coaches, is going to pay off. What I want to show you here is the difference between her commission and her bonus. So she does look to sell challenge packs to get people signed up on Home Direct. But her average weekly commission from her own selling and her own individual effort has amounted to $236 per week in weekly commission from her efforts. Look at this though, her average weekly team bonus is almost 5 times the amount of her commissions. So $1,167 weekly on recruiting and team building versus her personally selling of $236. So you can hopefully see the big difference there. While commissions are good, while selling is good, it's building your team, and it's that power of recruiting that is so important. So that's all I wanted to share today. If you have any questions, please reach out to Christine at Carroll. That's KRICARROLL @gmail.com. Thanks, and have a great day.